Hey guys, welcome back to Hook with Anime. If you like the video, make sure to subscribe my channel. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Rebirth into DxD. In a small mansion, you can hear the screams of a beautiful blonde-haired woman as she gives birth, with a female doctor assisting in the childbirth and her husband, a dark-haired man with a strong build, at her side. Ouch! Ouch! Get it out of me, the woman shrieked. Oh honey, you're doing great, the dark-haired man said. Screw you, bastard. You did this to me, the woman retorted. The dark-haired man flinched back and replied, but dear, you were the one who wanted to have children. The woman glared at her husband and demanded, will you please just shut up, as she let out another yelp of pain. The baby is almost here, exclaimed the doctor. The woman gave one final hard push, and soon the sound of a crying baby filled the room. The doctor announced to the new parents, it's a healthy baby boy, Lady Isha. After examining the baby, she handed him over to the new mother and left the room to give the new parents some privacy. The new mother looked at her baby and saw that he had blonde hair, just like her own, and blue eyes, just like her husband's. So, what are we going to name him? Asked the husband. Naruto, she replied. His name is after a hero from a book that I once read. Naruto, are you sure it's not because of your addiction to ramen? The man joked. The woman punched her husband in the stomach, causing him to double over as she continued playing with their son. I can't believe I am married to a moron, the woman muttered to herself. Get up off the ground, Damien, and come hold your son, Lady Isha said to her husband in a commanding voice. The now identified Lord Damien was by her side in an instant, holding his son gently and whispering, well my little devil, may you live a long and happy life, he said with a smile. 5 years later. A naked blonde boy could be seen running away from his personal maid named Mio, who is an attractive redhead with a large bust. Come back here right now Naruto Satenkia and take your bath, she shouted. No way. You'll have to catch me first, the blonde yelled back at her while laughing. The blonde boy continued to run until he ran into something and fell backward. When he looked up, he found his mother standing there with a scary look on her face. Naruto saw Satenkia. What have I told you about running around the house naked and giving Mio so much trouble, she said in a calm voice. The blonde gulped and replied, not too. Then she gave a weak smile. She kept on staring at him before sighing. By this time, Mio had already arrived and gave a deep bow. Lady Isha, I'm so sorry for the trouble. Lady Isha gave Mio a small smile and said, there is no need to apologize. I know what kind of trouble my son can get into. Don't worry about giving him a bath. Lady Isha? Mio asked, confused. She declared, I am going to give him his bath. Mom. Naruto yelled, mortified that his mother was going to give him the bath instead of Mio. 10 minutes later, Lady Ishi was seen washing her son's hair with only a towel on. The bathroom itself was massive enough to fit 2 of the maids' quarters. Naruto noted as he had spied on the maids and snuck into their rooms before to pull pranks on them. As a member of the Satantia clan, Naruto, you must be more aware than most about what you do because it will reflect upon the clan. We are one of the devil clans and serve Lucifer directly, she lectures. Yes, you've told me hundreds of times, the blonde grumbled. The Lady Isha smiled then said, if you promise to behave and focus on your studies I will teach you how to use our clan's powers. Really? You mean it? The blonde asked, having been trying to get his mother and father to teach him about the clan abilities since he learned of what they could do. Do we have a deal? She replied. Yes, he said excitedly, jumping up to give him a hug. You will have to show me that you are going to keep your word. For the next week, I want you to be on your best behavior, and if I hear you are giving any trouble, the deal is off, the blonde's mother stated. 1 week later Naruto is standing in front of his mother and father in a training area far outside their mansion. Now do you know of our clan's abilities, my son? Lord Damien asked. Yes, we of the Satenkia clan possess the power of darkness, the blonde replied. You are almost right, but not completely so. We of the Satenkia clan possess the powers of darkness and divination, the dark-haired man replied. The blonde boy just stared at his parents with a blank look of confusion. Divination? He asked. His mother continued, yes, the power of divination is the power to read the past, present and future to help with a problem hand. Seeing that you are still confused, your mother took pity on you, Just think of it as an ability to predict your opponent's moves before they make it. Our clan abilities are much more than that, Lord Damien grumbled. Lady Isha ignored her husband and continued, for now think of it as a power to predict your opponent's next move and any weaknesses they may have. She simplified it for her fellow blonde. Okay, I think I understand that, her son replied. Great, now the clan also has the ability to create and manipulate darkness in as many ways that you can imagine, she continued. That's so cool, the blonde enthusiastically exclaimed. Good, the blonde woman said. Now I'm going to teach you how to feel your demonic energy and draw it out. Close your eyes and focus on your stomach. You should feel an energy that is like oil. Grab onto it and shape it into a shield around you. Naruto sat down on the ground and followed his mother's instructions. Minutes passed by without anything happening until a black aura that looked like spilled ink started to leak out of him. Slowly, the aura began to surround him.
It seems like you inherited the power of darkness and it is strong in you, just as it was for me. Your mother was the opposite, she inherited the power of divination. Your mother and I are cousins. We were placed in an arranged marriage because we both have one of our clan's most famous powers. Lord Damien said.
Without warning, Lord Damien fired a magic bullet from behind his son's head. The blonde tilted his head to the right, dodging the spell, and it exploded against the side of the training yard. What the hell, Dad? Are you trying to kill me? The blonde boy yelled.
Lord Damien ignored the blonde and said to himself, interesting, you seem to have inherited the power of divination from your mother. Also, with that, you may be able to one day influence fate. He whispered.
His monologue was interrupted when Lady Isha, who looked pissed off due to your father's sudden attack, buried his head 5 feet in the ground with one strong punch. You idiot. What were you thinking? If he hadn't dodged the attack, he would have been seriously hurt, she screamed at the moron. I'm sure he would have been fine, he stated. This only angered his wife more. She punched him in the gut once again and grabbed their son's hand, leading him back home. 2 years later, after unlocking his demonic powers, Naruto was trained by his mother and sometimes his father.
After his mother chewed Damien out for doing something so dangerous, Naruto made significant progress in understanding the power of darkness. He could create beams and balls of pure darkness. He also made some progress with his power of divination. He could predict a few seconds into the future during a fight, but this ability was useless against faster opponents. Additionally, he was taught basic devil magic such as teleportation and hypnosis.
His parents decided that he was ready to get his own familiar. So, they arranged for him to go to the familiar forest with his personal maid, Mio, because they were too busy. Hey Mio, are you ready to go? The blonde asked his maid. Yes, young master, Mio replied. I have prepared a magic circle to take us to our familiar forest.
Then let's go, the boys shouted excitedly. The teleportation circle glowed beneath them, and the next instant they found themselves in a dark forest. They heard a sound and turned to find an old man wearing short pants and a sleeveless shirt. Hi, he said. I'm the familiar master. Lord Satantia contacted me in advance to help you get a familiar. By the way, my name is Norman.
There are all kinds of familiars in this forest, from mighty dragons to weak slimes. So, what kind of familiar are you looking for? Norman asked, looking at the blonde and his maid with curiosity. I want a 9-headed hydra that can help me in battle and complement my power of darkness offense abilities with its poison and high-speed regeneration, Naruto answered.
Young Lord Satantia, I would highly suggest against going after a hydra. They are known to attack the people they make contracts with and are generally hard to handle. He warned while sweating at the thought of going near a hydra.
Maybe you can choose something else, young master. I don't like the idea of putting you in danger, Mio pleaded as she looked at the young lord with caring eyes. Sigh. If you feel that strongly against it, I won't go looking for a hydra, Naruto said sadly, but now I don't know what I want to get. Norman, who was more relaxed, said, well, if you don't know what you want to get, we can walk through the forest and see what catches your interest. Okay, let's go, Naruto said excitedly to find a familiar.
The trio made their way through the forest, seeing many different familiars, but none really caught the blonde's attention, except for a small blue slime that managed to sneak up on Mio and enter her maid uniform. Mio had to release her demonic aura to destroy the slime, but in doing so, she also destroyed her clothes, leaving her naked. This led to Mio having a full-body blush of embarrassment.
After Mio created a new uniform with magic, the trio continued on until they heard growling. They followed the sound to find a purple baby dragon caught in the web of a monster spider. The dragon was struggling to break free while the spider slowly made its way towards it. Acting on instinct, the blonde rushed forward, rotating the darkness into a single point on the palm of his hand.
He then compressed the power, forming a ball of spiraling darkness. He slammed it into the spider, sending it flying far into the forest before the orb of darkness exploded, killing the spider. Then it started to shrink, sucking in everything nearby before disappearing. Looking at the attack, the blonde realizes that it creates a powerful explosion before sucking in everything nearby and compresses whatever it takes under extremely high pressure.
The spider's web was destroyed in the attack, but the dragon was still tied up when it fell onto the forest floor. Naruto walked up to the dragon when it started to growl at him. He raised his hand in surrender, waiting for the dragon to calm down. When the dragon stopped, he advanced a little closer, and eventually stood right in front of it. Slowly, he removed the web from the dragon. When he was done, he waved his hand in a dismissive manner. The dragon hesitated for a few seconds before taking off into the forest as fast as it could.
The blonde turned to Mio and Norman, who by the look of shock on their faces, thought that he was going to try to get the dragon as his familiar. I don't really want to get a dragon as a familiar, while cool they are not really my thing. The young master explained simply.
They continued to look until suddenly the blonde said, "I have to pee." Then he walked away from the group into a small clearing. "Are you coming out now or what?" the blonde inquired. He was met with silence. There was no movement for a few minutes, then a female voice said, "How did you know I was here?" "Mio and I both sensed that someone was following us after I defeated the demon spider," the blonde replied. "But we didn't know who it was until now."
Suddenly, a magic bullet flew through the air and hit a tree next to the blonde. From the tree, a beautiful woman with long black hair and onyx eyes emerged. "Young master," she said as she prepared herself for battle. "She was about to attack you."
The familiar master saw the woman and started to sweat in fear. "Young lord," he said fearfully, "that thing is not really a woman but a Jorogumo, a spider in human form." "What do you want from us?" Naruto asked, ready to defend himself. Era. You ask me that after killing one of my children? I'm here for revenge," the spider in human form said. She then attacked the blonde with a purple aura emanating from her hand and shooting out like a beam. Naruto countered with a beam of darkness. Both attacks exploded on contact, obscuring everyone's vision. Suddenly, the Jorogumo was behind the blonde, claws ready to attack. Mio launched a wind spell, pushing the Jorogumo away and clearing her vision. "Young master, don't let your guard down. She's really trying to kill you," she warned.
"Thank you, Mio," he said, then fired multiple beams of darkness at her. She didn't recover in time from the wind spell and the beams exploded on contact, leaving her bleeding all over. She then transformed into her true form, with a shout of rage, "You damned little bastard. I'll kill you if it's the last thing I ever do." She was now a giant spider the size of a small house. Thinking quickly, Naruto told Mio, "Keep her distracted, I have an idea." Mio obeyed without question.
Mio fired wind blades at the spider, hitting it all over, though it did little damage. It was enough to keep the spider's attention on her. Meanwhile, the blonde was trying to recreate the spell he used to kill the first spider, but this time, much larger. Mio used her wings to fly around, keeping just out of the giant spider's reach, while simultaneously launching wind attacks at it in all directions, kicking up dust to block the spider's vision of her master. "Get out of the way, Mio," Naruto's voice shouted from the dust cloud surrounding the spider. Mio flew away, and Naruto burst out of the dust cloud, his attack having grown much larger than usual. He slammed his attack, which was several times his size, into the side of the spider woman. He shouted, and the attack pushed the Jorogumo deep into the forest before it exploded, compressing everything around it into a vacuum. "Are you okay, young master?" Mio asked worriedly. "I'm okay," he replied, "I'm just a little tired from using that attack." Suddenly a voice said, "I am so glad you two are okay." Turning around, they saw the familiar master who had reappeared after he vanished as soon as the fighting started. Mio glared at the old man and said, Where were you when we were being attacked? The man nervously looked around, as if he wanted to make a run for it. I'm not much a fighter, he replied, so I just teleport a short distance away. Mio's glare grew even harder, but Naruto didn't seem to care anymore. Mio, forget about it, he said. Let's just go check and see if that overgrown spider is still alive. They made their way to where the attack had landed, and to their surprise, the spider was alive, but in human form, bloodied with her limbs missing. Curse you. May you never find peace with my death, the Jorogumo said, coughing up blood. So you're still alive after that attack. You really are one tough spider, the blonde said, ignoring the fact that she was cursing him. Young master, let me take care of this vile creature, Mio offered as she raised her hand ready to deliver the finishing blow. Wait, Mio. I think I found my familiar, Naruto said with a smile. Both Mio and Norman looked at the blonde as if he had gone insane, but the blonde walked right up to the Jorogumo. Hey you spider, how would you like to be my familiar? He offered her. Now even the dying spider looked at the blonde like he was crazy for not only having the nerve to kill his child, fatally injuring her, but then asking her to make a contract with him. Look, I'm sorry for killing your kid, but it was going to eat a baby dragon. I know it's no excuse, but I think you're really cool and strong familiar. He said his piece and waited to hear what she had to say. The Jorogumo just kept looking at the blonde, wondering if he was serious. If I become your familiar, how will you make it up to me for killing one of my children? I don't know, but if you become my familiar, I will treat you like a member of my family and I will heal your injuries, he answered. A member of the family, huh? I guess I will accept your proposal. She thought about it for a moment before saying, I don't really care that you killed my child. I have hundreds of them anyway. It's more of a matter of pride and I don't want to die just yet. The blonde is at least strong and will grow even stronger over time. Who knows, maybe you could be a good mate in the future, she thought to herself. Young master, are you sure you want her? She asked, arguing, a hydra might have been a better choice than her. Yes, I agree with her. She might be even more dangerous than a hydra. We can try to find something else, said Norman while trying to change the blonde's mind. No, she's the one I have a good feeling about, Naruto said stubbornly.
Sigh. Then we better heal her before she dies. Mio said as she knew you were not going to change your mind. She pulled out a small vial of Phoenix tears and poured it over the Jorogumo. Her body was fully healed, but her clothes were barely there, causing Naruto and Norman to blush. Mio summoned a blanket for her to wrap around herself and ordered Norman to start the binding contract since she had enough of this place.
So what is your name? I can't just keep calling you Spider, Naruto asked. I don't have one, she replied. I hatched from a batch of hundreds of siblings. We Jorogumo aren't really great at parenting. We lay our eggs and then they have to fend for themselves. Is that why you forgave me for killing your kid so easily? Naruto asked her. Yes, it is, she replied. I tried to kill you because you were in my territory and dared to attack. Okay, would you have liked it if I had given you a name? The young lord offered her. Do as you please, she replied. How about Stella? He suggested after some moments of thoughtful reflection. Stella isn't a bad name. I guess from now on I will be known as Stella. The newly named Stella accepted her new name. The familiar's master began the contract ritual, offering up some blood and magic. Both the familiar and the contractor did the same, and a magical symbol appeared on their arms, signifying that the contract had been successfully completed. This has been quite an adventure, but I've had enough for one day. I'm calling it a day. Goodbye, he said as he left. Okay, let's go home, master, Mio said, wanting to get her master away from the Jorogumo. Let's work together from now on, Stella, the blonde said to his familiar before leaving to return home. Well, he sure is interesting, Stella says while laughing before going back to her own home. Chapter ends. Chapter 2. Memories of a Forgotten Past. The next morning after our visit to the familiar forest, we find Naruto sleeping in his room on an overly large mattress that could fit over 20 people comfortably. The blonde was snoring away when suddenly Mio opened the door, entering. She was dressed in her maid's outfit, which was black and white in color, with a skirt that almost showed a hint of her panties. Good morning, young master. It's time to get up, she exclaimed cheerfully. I don't want to, Naruto said before putting a pillow over his head and burrowing further into the mattress.
Mio just went over to the curtains, pulling them aside, pushing the window open, letting the noise from the outside enter and the purple light from the underworld sky. The blonde turned and groaned but didn't make any move to get up. Mio just huffed before putting a sickly sweet smile on her face.
Mio called him young master, then grabbed the bed sheets and pulled them off. Sigh, he said as he stood up. I'm up. Good, said the maid. Now let me help you get ready so your parents can see your new friend. I guess they could not wait until a few more hours, he complained while jumping out of bed naked as the day he was born. You know, they want to see the type of familiar you choose, she stated. So are you ready for your bath or am I going to have to get rough? Well, let's get this over with then, the young master said as he entered the bathroom, with Mio following after to attend to him.
30 minutes later, Naruto was sitting with his parents at a larger table with lots of different foods and drinks on it with Mio as his personal maid standing behind his chair.
So I heard from Mio that you managed to obtain a powerful familiar, Damien inquired. She mentioned it was a Jorogumo, am I correct? Yes, she is awesome, the blonde boy said excitedly. She was able to fight both Mio and me, and she took a direct hit from my strongest attack and didn't even flinch. That's great, the blonde's father said. If she's strong, she'll be able to help you in the future. Mio also told us she was a violent beast who tried to kill you until you brought her to the brink of death, Lady Isha added, clearly not pleased by the choice of such a nasty familiar. She can be a little rough around the edges, but I think she'll make a great familiar, Naruto said, trying to calm his mother down. Okay, so summon her so we can meet her, the blonde's father ordered. Yes, I would like to meet this familiar too, his mother added. Naruto just sighed and did as told, summoning his familiar to the room. She was in her human form, wearing a small black kimono that left half of her breasts exposed. Taking a better look at her now that he wasn't trying to kill her, Naruto realized she was quite beautiful. Shoulder-length black hair and black eyes, with an hourglass figure. Hey Stella, how are you doing? The blonde asked his familiar, are you all healed up? You're the one who caused them in the first place, brat, she replied, pulling on his cheeks, but I'm fully recovered.
The blonde's parents were watching them interact. His father was looking at the familiar breasts with a slight smile on his face, while his mother was glaring at her for how she was pulling on his cheeks. She was ready to attack when she saw her blushing husband, so she smacked him on the head, causing him to fall on the ground with a lump on his head. This drew the attention of both the familiar and the master.
That female is a brute, she stated, letting go of the blonde's cheeks. Oh, you mean my mother, the blonde said. She always disciplines my dad when he does or says something stupid. Who are you calling a brute, bitch? Lady Isha yelled at the Jorogumo. You tried to kill my son. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't return the favor. I would like to see you try, Granny, Stella yelled back.
Hey, calm down you two. Let's have a little chat with each other. Naruto said, trying to break up the two, but seeing that they didn't back down from the other, he asked his father for help. Father, help me with mom. I will calm Stella.
Okay, I think that's quite enough, Lord Damien said, getting up from the ground and putting himself in front of the blonde mother. He took her hand and led her to her seat at the table. Sit. Damien ordered, Isha glaring at him for what seemed like hours but was only a few seconds. She relented and sat down. Damien went back to his seat and ordered another of the maids to bring another chair for his son's familiar to sit next to her master. So, what do you think of my son so far? Lord Seidenkia asked the familiar who was seated next to his master. He's an annoying brat, she answered, glancing at her master. A storm cloud seemed to gather over his head, but he has potential, she finished. That's good, and are you willing to lend him your strength? I mean, support him until he realizes his full potential, Damien asked further. Sigh. I accepted his request to be his familiar when I was near death or not. I will keep my word unless he breaks his word to me first, she stated as she took some delicious-looking meat off the table. I'm satisfied, he said, turning to his wife. Do you have any questions you want to ask her before we eat? Yes, in fact I do, Isha replied. Why did you become my son's familiar after he killed your child and almost killed you?
I lay hundreds of eggs throughout my life. Some are eaten before they hatch, and others are killed by other creatures in the forest or by their own siblings. It's the law of nature, the strong survive. The only reason I attacked your son was because he attacked one of my children within my territory. It was more of a matter of pride. Stella explained her reasons for his actions.
Your son showed he was strong when he defeated me, so I am willing to follow him, Stella concluded. Lady Satankia just looked at Stella before rubbing her forehead. You just had to choose one of the hardest to tame familiars in the whole forest, didn't you? She asked tiredly, even though the day had just begun. Okay, I'll accept you as my son's familiar, but if you hurt him, I'll personally hunt you down, the blonde mother warned. Do I make myself clear? I think we have an understanding, Stella said with a wide smile as Isha gritted her teeth. That sounds good, said Lord Damien. Let's eat.
The family plus familiar ate. Then Naruto's parents had to go to an important meeting with the Satans. When his parents left, Naruto, Mio, and Stella remained. He asked them to train with him so he can learn his familiar full abilities and also to see if she can give him some pointers. They spent the day together getting to know one another. Then the day came to a close. Years go by. Naruto is now 12 years old. Naruto found himself in a forest. He looked around until he saw a village with a giant gate. He approached it to ask where he was, but as he reached it, the two guards greeted him like they knew him. Hey there Naruto, are you coming back from a mission? Asked one of the two dark-haired men who were wearing a green vest, black pants, and sandals. They also had a headband with a symbol of a leaf on it that looked familiar, though he couldn't remember where he had seen it before. Hey, are you doing all right? The next guard asked after seeing you spacing out. You should go to the hospital if you're not feeling well, he suggested. No, I'm okay, I'll just be going now, Naruto said as he walked past them. He then saw a mountain with faces on it, but suddenly got a headache. He grabbed his head as his world began to spin, and he had flashes of men with red eyes and 9 different giant beasts. The enormous fox with 9 tails stood out the most. Then his world turned black. Suddenly, he jolted awake, realizing it was all a dream.
Sighing, he realized his dreams were becoming more frequent. They all seemed so real. He decided not to dwell on it, as it would not help him. He got up from bed and prepared for another day's worth of training. After the blonde had dressed himself, there was a knock on the door. Mio and her half-sister Maria entered.
Maria Naruse was Mio's half-sister by her father's side. She came into the Satantia clan service as a favor to Maria's mother, who was the head maid of the house and best friends with Naruto's mother. Maria has a short stature, silver hair and flat chest. She was a kind person, but above all else she is a massive pervert who would try to put the blonde in the most compromising positions. Lord Damien thought it would be funny to have her be the blonde's second personal maid. She wore the same skimpy maid outfit like her half-sister, but hers was much more revealing if possible, but she doesn't have the same curves as her sister. She has been his maid for a year now.
Good morning, young master. How are you doing today? Mio asked in a cheerful voice as she started to clean the room. I bet you have a dirty dream, was I in it? Maria said, put on a perverted smile.
No, I was not, Maria. I was just having the usual dreams, but I am feeling fine now. I am going out to train, come get me when it's time for breakfast, he replied to them, sounding tired.
You're going out and train already. Don't you want to keep the company of 2 beautiful women like us? Maria teased as she gave a cute pose but had a worried look on her face as she come to care for the blonde from her time spent in the clan service. Are you having nightmares again? Mio asked as she got the blonde to tell them about his dreams, since it was waking him up in the middle of the night and she or Maria had to make him something to eat so he could go back to sleep. Yes, but it's nothing I can't handle. You two don't have to worry about me, the boy replied, seeing the look Mio and Maria was sending him. Okay, but if you need anything, you can always talk to me. I'm here for you, Mio said, trying to comfort the blonde. Thank you, Mio, I said, I will remember that. Do either of you want to train with me? You and Maria are a mid-class devil right now, but you two will be able to get promoted to high class if you put your minds to it. Are you trying to get rid of me? I may be able to get promoted to a high-class devil, but I don't plan on leaving my duties behind. She stated, I will join you, just give me a second to tidy the room. Yeah, Blondie, you are stuck with us for a very long time, Maria said, sticking her tongue out at her blonde master, making him laugh. After she finished, they went to the training grounds. Mio got into a fighting stance as wind gathered around her while Naruto let his aura of his dark magic out. His eyes turned purple before he went on the attack. Maria was sighed on the sidelines watching this all happen as she said she wasn't really interested in training but he sometime gets her to spar with him and she is no pushover. Focusing back on Mio, he fired bullets of dark magic at Mio, but they were deflected by her wind barrier. She charged in with her fist cocked back, but Naruto read through her movements with his power of divination that let him see 4 seconds into the future. He waited until the last second before dodging her fist to get into her guard and released a compressed orb of darkness. He watched as she was thrown forward by the attack as it exploded, kicking up a lot of dust. After the explosion, a vacuum was created. When the dust cleared, Naruto saw Mio unharmed as she put a lot of magic into her wind barrier, which shielded her from his attack. Her clothes weren't so lucky. Her maid outfit was gone, exposing her large breasts fully, and her panties were just barely hanging onto her hips. "Are you okay, Mio?" the blonde asked. "I'm okay, you caught me off guard," she answered as she got up and created a new outfit with magic. "That's good, but really, you're as strong as any high-class devil. You could make your own clan, get land and servants of your own," he said to her. "As I told you before, I am not interested in that. I'm happy here," she stated. "Ah, you two love birds should just get a room and make some babies," Maria interjected, causing them both to blush and turn away from the other. Naruto got his composure back then turned to Mio. "Sigh. If you're happy then that's all that matters." The blonde began to think about what he discovered about his powers. His power of darkness allowed him to freely control darkness. It also had some effect on gravity. When in direct contact with someone, it could interfere with their powers. For the power of divination, he discovered he could see a few seconds into the future, but had trouble seeing the past or present. "Maria, it's your turn to spar," the blonde ordered as she rarely willingly wants to train unless he makes her. "But I don't want to," the silver hair maid replied, pouting cutely at the blonde, hoping he would change his mind, but he keep his serious face, so she sighed and went across from him and entered her fighting stance. "Right. Let's go, Maria," the blonde announced to his maid, who was in her fighting stance, prompt her to attack. After the training, they had breakfast and went about their daily duties. Mio and Maria returned to take care of the house while the blonde went to get his lesson with his mother. Naruto lay on his bed as the day came to a close. His mind kept going over the dreams he usually had at night. In some, he saw a blonde boy who looked like him struggling to gain recognition from a village that hated him. In others, he saw the blonde fight a boy with black hair and red eyes. He even saw 9 enormous beasts talking to the blonde. He didn't know what to think. There was also the attack he used on instinct when he fought the spider in the familiar forest. It resembled an attack the blonde boy used, but his was made with chakra, not magic, which should be impossible since only Yuki should have chakra, not humans. In the end he drifted to sleep and the images continued to plague him through the night, but this time was a little different.
The blonde found himself in front of a massive cage. As he moved forward to see inside, a massive claw shot forward, making him jump back. He looked up and saw 2 slit red eyes staring down at him, making him gulp. Then the creature spoke.
"Naruto, it seems like you're still not ready to remember everything, but since you made it this far, you may one day become the man you once were." The creature growled. "Now be gone." The creature roared, making Naruto jump out of his dream, cold sweat dripping down his face. The blonde took some breaths before calming down and flopping back down on his mattress. "What the heck was that?" he said to himself, turning to look at his clock and seeing it was 3 a.m. "I might as well get some training in." He jumped out of bed to go train, his mind still thinking about the creature he encountered. As he arrived at the training grounds, his mind remembered the human boy in his dream who could somehow use chakra and use hand seals to use techniques. He remembered when he made a seal to draw out the chakra, so he decided to give it a try. He made the seal, but nothing happened for a good few minutes, and he started to feel stupid for trying that. But then, suddenly, an aura surrounded him that was not magic. It was not like the chakra he saw in his dream, but it was incomplete, like he was drawing only a part of it. He realized that the people in his dream had a chakra system inside of them, while he did not. So, he must have only been drawing out the physical energy. The energy faded as he lost focus, but he promised himself he would train with it further because it could be a powerful tool and could help him unlock his chakra in the future. Master. Where are you? He heard a voice screaming in the distance. He looked up into the sky and saw Mio flying high above, searching everywhere for him. Mio, I'm down here, he yelled, catching her attention. She quickly flew down and embraced him. I was so worried something happened to you when I went to your room and couldn't find you, she said as a few tears came from her eyes. Why didn't you tell anyone you were going to train? Naruto looked down guiltily before saying, I had a nightmare and I wanted to clear my head so I came out here to train. I'm sorry I worried you. Sigh. I guess I understand, she said. But don't do it again. She continued, these nightmares of yours are becoming more of a nuisance. I know, but I can't help it, Naruto replied as he helped Mio dry her eyes with a cloth he created with magic. Mio just stayed silent for a moment before saying, I think I'm going to sleep with you from now on. What do you mean by that? I'm too young for that, the blonde said, blushing up a storm. Mio waved her hand around and blushed. No, she replied, that's not what I meant. I just think if you had company, you might be able to sleep better. Okay, I get what you mean, Naruto replied, hesitant to cause Mio any more trouble. Yes, it will also put both your parents and my mind at ease, Mio stated. That reminds me, we should call them so they don't destroy everything looking for you. The blonde mother in particular would go berserk if she couldn't find her son. Well, if you put it that way, I'll be in your care from now on, the blonde said as Mio used her magic to contact his parents, letting them know she had found him and that he was unharmed. When they returned to the mansion, his mother yelled at him while his father and Maria laughed behind her. He was forbidden from training for a month as punishment, which he thought was unfair but was smart enough not to say so to his furious mother. Time passed and he still had nightmares, but with Mio and Maria next to him, Maria after hearing Mio will be sleeping with their blonde master invited herself to his bed. With them next to him he found it more manageable. The only problem he was having was that Mio and Maria slept in the nude and he was going through puberty with them sleeping on both sides of him. Maria somehow found a way to sleep in so many erotic ways, like one morning he woke up with her pussy in his mouth, the next is with his hand between her legs that refused to let him go, and another morning she somehow stripped him and positioned everyone so that Mio had his cock down her throat while still asleep and Maria while sleeping had her wet cunt in his mouth. He can still remember her taste. It was taking all of his willpower to not bend his maids over that day and have his way with them, but it wouldn't have been so bad if he did, he thought to himself. Chapter End. Chapter 3. Growing Tensions. Naruto age 17. Today was like any other. Naruto was called to his parents' office after training with Mio while Maria watched making perverted comments as usual. Mio and Maria had been by his side throughout the day and after training they help him bath by washing his naked body. They were blushing heavily as usual after they finished their duty as his personal maid. They walked through the mansion to the blonde's father's office and on the way Naruto noticed the housemaids going about their daily duties, such as mopping, sweeping, and cleaning. When the trio reached Naruto's parents' office, Naruto knocked and waited for a response. The blonde heard his father say, "Enter," before he did just that, seeing his father, mother, and the head maid Sheila who was Maria's mother. She looked identical to her daughter with silver hair and purple eyes, wearing a maid outfit. Naruto stated, "You called for me." He wanted to know the reason for the summons. "Yes, we have been invited to a very important meeting by the Saiyans. There will be many other high-class devils there, and we want you to be on your best behavior," Lady Isha said to her son knowing that he is a troublemaker. So I will have to go, the blonde said reluctantly, knowing most devils were arrogant and greedy creatures. "Yes, all clans are expected to bring their heirs. You will have to endure it," Lady Isha replied knowing her son. "Sigh," he said, "so I don't have a choice. Do you know what this meeting is about?" "We have an idea why we are having this meeting, but let's just wait for the Saiyans to make their announcement," the blonde's father replied as he shared a look with Isha. "Okay, let's all get ready to go. We have to be there in 2 hours," the blonde mother said before telling Mio to make sure her son gets ready on time. 2 hours later, we saw the family of 3 all dressed formally, with Naruto and his father in black suits, and his mother in a matching black dress. Mio, Maria and Sheila were not going to be joining them as it was a meeting between the high-class devil clans, but they wished them well,
a teleportation circle glowed brightly beneath the Satantia clan members before they vanished.
The devil's capital Lucifad. The Satantius arrived and were met by the servants of the Lucifer clan who led them to the dining area where the other high-class devils had already gathered. Naruto looked around at the different devil clans and realized it was the first time he had seen almost all of them. He had been sheltered from having to interact with them unless they came to their territory to have a meeting with his parents.
By looking at them, he could tell that they were arrogant, greedy, and full of many other negative traits. However, he would have to make it through the night talking to them. He realized they were being approached by a couple of devils from the Malphas clan, Raim and Vepper. Assuming based on his studies with his mother, who taught him about the different devil clans and their clan abilities.
The Vepar clan was easy to recognize, with their white hair and eyes. Their clan had the power of demonic black lightning. Next was the Reim clan, also easy to identify by their full body tattoos that looked like demonic animals. Their clan had the power to bring their body tattoos to life to fight for them. Last, but not least, was the Malphas clan, who had horns, brown hair, and eyes. They had the power to create powerful illusions that could fool the five senses so much that the victim's body would suffer damage.
"Ah, Lord and Lady Satantia, how are you this evening?" Lord Rhyme said in an arrogant tone. He was with his wife, 3 concubines, and 2 sons.
"We're doing just fine, Lord Reim. Thank you for asking," Lady Isha replied politely. "Well, enough with the peasantries, would you happen to know what this gathering is all about?" Lady Vepar inquired. She was accompanied by her husband and daughter. "Well, while I am not 100% sure about why we were called here, I am assuming it is due to the growing tension with heaven," Lord Satankia answered, as he figured they had figured it out themselves and didn't want to put it into words.
"I was afraid of that. Do you think we are going to declare war on heaven?" Lord Malphas asked, preferring things to stay the same. He had his 2 wives with him and had 2 daughters and 1 son with him.
Sigh, it can't be helped if the Satans decide we are going to war with heaven, then it is what will have to happen, Lord Satankia said, not directly answering Lord Malphas's question. Suddenly, the lights in the room went out and a spotlight lit up the stage. A man with white hair and blue eyes walked onto it, Naruto recognizing him as Lord Lucifuge, whom he had met when he had visited his parents on business. "Lords and ladies, can you all please take your seats? Our great and mighty leaders will be with you shortly," Lord Lucifuge announced to the crowd. "Since we are all here, would you mind if the clan leaders shared a table and our heirs got to know each other?" Lord Reim offered. "I don't mind," Lord Malphas said lazily. "I think it's a good idea. With what's coming, it would be good for them to be allies," Lady Vepar stated, liking the idea. "Well, I think it would be a good idea for our son to socialize with more people," Lord Satan said, not really caring about the idea because he knew they all were trying to manipulate his son in one way or the next. "Okay, it is decided. Let's take our seats," Lord Reim said as he looked around for a table that could fit all of them. Lord Vepar found some tables that can fit them and one next to it that their heirs can use. They all took their seats and Naruto sat with the other clan heir. He didn't really have much experience talking to people around his age and he also can't really trust the people at the table because he knew that their parents had other motivations to want them to be away for the adults. When the blonde and the other heirs were seated, they introduced themselves to each other. Starting with Lord Rhyme's 2 sons, who were named Bishop, the elder, and Hillel, the younger. Lord Vepar's daughter was named Elizabeth, and finally, we had Lord Malphas' daughters, whose names were Zephaniah and Sapphira. They were identical twins. Sapphira was born first, while their brother Darius was the youngest. In appearance, they looked almost exactly like their parents, but younger. As the blonde sat there, the heir made small talk about various things, such as the things they owned and the women they had slept with. Naruto could only just bear it. They were just what he expected them to be. He kept quiet for most of the conversation, only speaking up when he was addressed directly. The blondes were just getting the feel for them. Lord Reim's sons were basically arrogant and stupid devils that would most likely end up pissing off the wrong person and ending up dead. Lord Vepar's daughters seemed to be the calculating type who would manipulate anyone stupid enough to fall under her influence, and Lord Malphas's children were a mixed bag. While the twins who seemed normal were talking, the brothers would sometimes flinch when they turned their attention to him. He suspected that they were more than what they showed. Naruto could only sigh in his head for his misfortune.
Thankfully, Lord Lucifuge had come back to announce the four Satans' arrival. The first one to be introduced was Lord Lucifer himself, a beautiful man with silver hair and blue eyes. Then it was Lord Beelzebub, a huge man with brown hair and eyes. Next was Lady Leviathan, a curvaceous woman with brown skin and brown hair and gray eyes. Finally, Lord Asmodeus appeared. He had black hair and red eyes, but the most peculiar thing about him were his pointed elf-like ears.
Good evening, my fellow devils. We are gathered here by our great and powerful leaders because they have some good news to share with us, Lord Lucifuge said, amplifying his voice with magic. The crowd cheered, and Lord Lucifuge handed the spotlight to the Satans. Lord Lucifer started to speak. I am happy to see you all in good spirits. I have brought great news. Right now, at this moment, our race is the strongest that it has ever been, and I am proud to have created it, Lord Lucifer said, patting himself on the back. The heavens had always suppressed our movement on earth, but no more. As of this moment, we were going to war with heaven, and we were determined to take back our right to rule over all creation. He further stated with such passion that almost all the devils present stood to their feet with applause. So for tonight, we will celebrate, and tomorrow we will prepare our army to go to war, he said, raising his drink in the air as servants came out with different foods and drinks. Warning: lime, lemon, non-consensual ahead. From there, it was a blur. The celebration started out tame enough. Then, when everyone started to drink, things got crazy. Some nobles grabbed female servants, ripped off their clothes and bent them over their tables, having their way with them as they cried for mercy. Some couples also started sharing partners, male or female, none being safe from their appetites. Lemon was removed but can be found on archive of our own or on my paw tray on Under St. Green's. Lemon warning over. Naruto decided to follow in his parents' footsteps and simply sip his drink while ignoring what was happening around him. When everything was said and done, Lord Lucifer dismissed all the devils and told them that he would summon them one by one to assign them different positions in his legions. The blonde and his parents teleported home, and the blonde felt both tired and horny at the same time. When he arrived at his room, he found Mio sleeping with Maria in her arms, both naked as usual. Usually the blonde would be able to resist such a sight, but tonight, after what he had witnessed, he needed some relief. Warning: lemon ahead. The blonde stripped out of his clothes and made his way over to Mio and Maria. Mio, who heard him remove his clothes, woke up. Maria, who is a heavy sleep, was oblivion to what is going on. She looked over at him and saw his erect penis leaking precum as he slowly walked over to her. She blushed deeply and sat up, looking into his eyes and seeing that they were slightly darker and that he was overcome with lust. Young master, how was the gathering? I hope nothing bad happened, Mio asked while tilting her face to the side. Oh, the gathering was fine other than the orgy that happened and the fact that we're going to war with heaven, Naruto casually replied as he continued forward. What? We're going to war, and what do you mean by orgy? Mio exclaimed, not really understanding what had been said. Naruto ignored that as he climbed into bed next to Mio. He claimed her lips with his, pushing her back onto the bed with him on top. Their legs were intertwined as they looked into each other's eyes. Mio was flustered, but didn't push him away. They continued making out, their lips swollen from the kissing.
Naruto looked to the side, seeing Maria still asleep but moved in a position where he could see all her body clear. Although she was not as curvy as Mio, she was still cute with a tight little body that he was going to taste tonight if he had any to say about it. The next morning. The next day we see Naruto waking up between Mio and Maria in their shared bed, Naruto with his arms around Mio and Maria. His left arm was on Mio's breasts and his right hand was cupping Maria's overly sensitive pussy that was burning red and leaking from the night's activities. If you took a closer look, you can see both sisters had a hand wrapped around the blonde male's cock.
Suddenly, the blonde mother Isha walked in without knocking, seeing the state of the room, which reeked of sex, and the three occupants who were still connected in tangled limbs. She used her magic to summon a bucket of water and let it fall on the trio, causing them to jump out of the bed, soaking wet. Naruto asked his mother, what was that for? Annoyed at the way he had been woken up.
It seems you forgot that today is very important. We have been summoned to meet Lucifer to receive our ranks in the Legion. This, of course, includes you. Get presentable and come to the clan's study. Lady Isha stated and walked out, ignoring Mio and Maria who were leaking cum on the ground.
Lemon was removed but can be found on archive of our own or on my paw tray on under St. Green's.
Lemon, lime over. Mio and Maria used a healing spell on each other before helping the blonde get ready. He kissed them on the lips before going to meet his parents. His father greeted him with a proud wide smile, knowing full well what he had done the night before. The mother's expression was blank, revealing no emotion. They used the teleportation circle and soon found themselves outside Lucifer's mansion. One of the servants ushered them inside, and not long after, they stood before Lord Lucifer, the original devil himself. He had a small smile as he looked at the blonde, then he focused on her parents.
Chapter end. Chapter 4. The Calm Lucifer Mansion.
The original Lucifer, the father of the devil race, could be seen sitting behind his desk in his office that was decorated in silver and black colors. The family of 3 Satantias were standing and waiting for the Satan to begin the meeting.
Good morning, Lord Satankia. How have things been going? Lucifer asked, making small talk with the clan leader while ignoring Lady Isha and Naruto. Things have been going well, my lord, Lord Damien replied respectfully.
That's good to hear, the father of devils stated, so that we can get the pleasantries out of the way, let me tell you the rank I am going to assign you. He then moved some paperwork around on his desk. Lord Satantia, I betroth you the rank of Great General. You will be in command of Goetic nobles Amun, Barbados, Pruflas, and Astaroth, and have 54 legions of devils as your subordinates, Lucifer said proudly to Lord Satantia before he looked to Naruto, looking him up and down.
What is your name? The father of the devil asked Naruto as he was staring right at him with an intrigued look. My name is Naruto, the blonde swiftly answered respectfully, not wanting to anger the prideful devil. Naruto? HMPH, it seems to me that you are as strong, if not stronger than an ultimate class devil. Lucifer said he felt Naruto's power. I wouldn't know, sir, the blonde replied, honestly. I haven't fought anyone besides my servants and my parents, and I know they're holding back during our sparring sessions.
Is that so? How about we see how strong you are in a sparring match with an opponent of my choosing? If you win, I'll even give you a reward. Lucifer stated, making it seem like he was giving Naruto an opportunity to decline.
It would be an honor, sir, Naruto replied, knowing that he didn't have a choice.
Lucifer summoned his faithful servant Lucifuge and ordered him to bring his son to the clearing behind the mansion. After Lucifuge left to fetch his son, Lucifer stood up and walked towards the group. When he was near, he created a magical circle beneath them and teleported everyone to the designated area. Behind the Lucifer mansion, the 4 devils arrived at an area that looked like a war zone. It was a large area with deep craters in the ground and uprooted trees. Naruto was sure he saw dry blood all over.
Not long after Lucifuge returned with a young-looking devil who looked to be in his 20s, with the classic Lucifer features of silver hair and blue eyes. This is my son, Rizavum Lucifer, said Lord Lucifer. I want you to have a little spar to see how much power you have. If you win, I will give you a reward. He motioned for both Naruto and his son to step forward. Naruto and Rizavum circled each other before standing across from the other. Naruto glanced at his parents and could see they were worried. Looking at Rizavum, Naruto could tell he was powerful but arrogant. He could use that against him. So your name is Naruto, huh? My father found me a new plaything. The others break so easily. I hope you can at least entertain me, Rizavum said with an arrogant smirk. I hope you can keep up with me, Naruto said. It would be embarrassing if I defeated you before you could even make a move. He added, causing Rizavum to scowl while receiving a smirk from Lord Lucifer.
Lord Lucifuge stepped forward to act as referee of the match. This is a friendly spar, he said. The terms of victory are either knockout or submission.
Lord Lucifuge raised his hand in the air and then brought it down, shouting, begin, signaling the start of the match. On the side with Lucifer. Who do you think will win the spar? Lord Lucifer asked the Satankians in interest, knowing his son was strong and experienced, but also aware that Naruto possessed a lot of power within himself. I mean no disrespect when I say this, said Lord Satankia, but I think our son is going to win. He always finds a way to surprise you. Lord Lucifer raised an eyebrow at his statement. Is that so? What about you, Lady Satanisha? Do you think your son is going to win too? Lucifer asked Isha, addressing her for the first time since the meeting began.
Lady Isha looked surprised at being addressed directly by Lucifer, for he would never speak to anyone he thought was beneath him, and being a woman, she was placed in that category. He even treated his wife as a servant to fulfill his lust and create more devils.
I know our son will win because his is destined for greatness, Lady Isha replied, making Lucifer chuckle and turn back to watch the spar. With sparring match. Naruto started the match by sending a volley of magical bullets at Rizavum, to which he responded by sending a volley of his own, cancelling each other out and causing an explosion. The area was covered in smoke, blocking everyone's vision. However, the blonde could still sense Rizavum through the smoke. He was building up a massive amount of magical power for whatever he was about to do. Naruto activated his power of divination to allow him to see a few seconds into the future.
Naruto was able to see that Rizavum was planning to launch a huge magic bullet at him as soon as the smoke cleared, so Naruto prepared his shadow travel technique to teleport behind him after the attack.
Naruto discovered while training and studying with his parents, the power of darkness also allowed him to manipulate shadows, as these two abilities were so closely linked. He and his father also discovered that while they each controlled darkness, there were different types of darkness. His father had the power of diabolic darkness, while he had the power of esoteric darkness. Both could be used in different ways. Naruto guessed that the Satanshia's power of darkness must have either mutated within him or the clan's bloodline gave its members different types of powers of darkness. Naruto focused back on the match, and just as he predicted, Rizavum had a massive magic bullet 3 times his size ready. He launched it as soon as the smoke cleared, but Naruto waited until just as it was about to hit him before he teleported behind Rizavum using his shadow. Naruto then created a ball of darkness and slammed it into Rizavum's back, sending him forward before it exploded. On the side with Lucifer. Well, that was interesting. Your son seems to be full of surprises. From what I saw, he used shadow travel to get behind my son and attack him from his blind spot, Lucifer said, not really caring if his son got hurt. It is as you said, sir, Lord Satankia replied. He is really good at shadow travel. He can teleport away faster than you can blink. Not bad, but it will take more than a surprise attack to defeat Rizavum, the father of the devil stated. They felt a massive surge of demonic power as Rizavum stood up unharmed, though his clothes were dirty and torn. Now the real match begins, Lucifer said as he looked on with interest. Naruto's parents were worried by the amount of power the Lucifer heir was releasing. Back with match. Not bad, Rizavum said cheerfully, though Naruto could tell he was anything but happy.
Suddenly, he disappeared and appeared behind Naruto with his fist covered in his demonic power. Naruto dodged the attack without looking back. He flipped out of the way and jumped into his shadow to avoid a magical bullet that was aimed at him.
You're good at running away, but you're not gonna win that way, the Lucifer heir taunted, looking for the blonde but not seeing him.
Naruto hid behind a fallen tree, suppressing his demonic powers while watching Rizavum call him out. He remained calm, however, as he thought up a plan. Naruto saw that the Lucifer heir was building up his power and would soon release it in all directions, forcing him to reveal himself.
There you are, the son of Lucifer said. Now you have no place to hide. The blonde said nothing, but he had the power of divination active, ready for the attack he knew was coming. He was right. Rizavum was above him in the air with a giant magic bullet larger than the one he used before in his hand. He fired it directly at Naruto, but the blonde was already at the other side of the field. The bullet exploded on the ground, causing massive destruction. Naruto looked at the destruction and swallowed hard as that would have killed him if it had hit. It seemed that the Lucifer heir was going for the kill, and if Naruto wanted to survive, he would have to do the same.
The power of divination alerted Naruto to the impending danger in the form of Rizavum, whose body was covered in his demonic power. On instinct, Naruto released his power of the shadow and cloaked himself within it. He and Rizavum began dancing around each other, with Rizavum attacking and Naruto dodging.
This continued for a few minutes before Rizavum grew increasingly frustrated by his inability to land a hit on the blonde bastard.
With Lord Lucifer, he assumed that the heir of the Satantia family was using divination to avoid getting hurt. The father of the devil found it amusing how the heir was dodging his son's attacks by utilizing shadow travel or by waiting until the last second and avoiding danger, causing Rizavum to miss. Naruto is not skilled in using the power of divination, he only has the ability to see a few seconds into the future. Lord Satantia explained his son's ability, and he was quite proud of his son as the Lucifer heir is a devil that is said to be stronger than most clan heads.
Ah, so he can use it in battle quite well, but he won't win by just dodging alone. No matter how amusing it is, Lucifer said while giving a small chuckle, seeing his son shouting in frustration at the blonde.
Back to the match. Rizavum shouted in anger, "You're just dodging everything I throw at you." He shot bullets of magic at the blonde, trying to hit him, but failed.
What's the matter? You seem to be stressed, Naruto said mockingly while ducking under the right hook aimed for his face. Shut up. How dare you mock me? I am a Lucifer, and you are merely a servant, Rizavum roared, his face turning red as he released more power. Rizavum created 3 massive magic bullets, each measuring 10 meters in size and possessing enough power to destroy a city. Naruto looked at the attack in alert, as he did not know if he could dodge it. Moreover, most of his attacks had proven ineffective against him.
Naruto then had a flashback. It was a dream of a blonde boy fighting an orange-haired man with piercings. The man with piercings had an attack that could attract things. The blonde realized if he could recreate that attack, it would draw the magical bullets away from him and explode them in the air. Naruto clapped his hands together and focused on creating a powerful attractive force. He spun the magic into a single ball. The magic orb grew in his hand. It was pitch black and seemed to have absorbed all the light around it. The blonde focused all of his power on it, and as Rizavum released his attack, the blonde launched the orb into the air.
The effect was instant. The small orb seemed to negate the gravity in the area as the 3 magic bullets changed targets from the blonde and flew into the air towards the orb. When they could reach it, a huge explosion occurred and generated a blinking light and a strong gust of wind. Naruto was breathing heavily, but at that moment, Rizavum landed a powerful punch, sending him through several trees. As he got up, he couldn't help but feel an unexpected surge of determination building within him. At first, he thought it was fear, but a smile slowly crept onto his face. At that moment, the blonde felt excited. He was facing a strong opponent who wasn't holding back in fear of hurting him. Naruto had blood leaking from his mouth and head, but he had never felt better. Naruto couldn't help but laugh, causing Rizavum to look at him as if he had gone crazy from the hit. Why are you smiling? Did that hit loosen some screws? Rizavum asked while he regained his arrogant attitude.
No, I'm just excited about everything. Everyone holds back their power not wanting to seriously harm me in a spar, but you don't seem to be like that and for that I thank you, Rizavum Lucifer. The blonde replied. Now, let's get wild.
Naruto condensed the darkness into a dagger and released his aura, which mixed with something else he had recently discovered he could do, but did not yet have a name for. This enhanced his power. Suddenly, Naruto disappeared and reappeared in front of Rizavum. He swiped the dagger at Rizavum, who dodged, but was caught by a kick in the face, sending him flying.
He stood ready to shout at the blonde but found him above him with his dagger ready to slice his neck, quickly ducked and tried to get some distance, but it seemed the blonde wouldn't let him as he appeared from his shadow, slamming a magic bullet into his back.
Rizavum let out a scream of pain as the magic bullet exploded on his back. He turned around to retaliate, but the blonde was already gone. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his foot. Looking down, he saw Naruto had stabbed his dagger through his foot into the ground. Rizavum fired a fist embedded with demonic magic at the blonde, but he managed to avoid it and head-butted Rizavum in the nose, breaking it as his blood flowed down his face. Bastard, I'm going to kill you, the son of Lucifer shouted, bloodied from his nose and feet. Not if I kill you first, the blonde said with a bloodthirsty smile. Before the match could continue, Lord Lucifer and the Satanichius appeared between them. I think it's quite enough that we don't want you two to actually kill each other, Lord Lucifer said happily, pleased by what he was seeing. What? But I was just about to kill this bastard, Rizavum shouted to his father. Lord Lucifer turned to his son before speaking. I think you've embarrassed yourself enough today, he said, his tone deadly serious. But if you still feel like fighting, I will be your opponent.
Rizavum realized who he was talking to, quickly apologized, and left to get his wounds treated. However, not before shooting Naruto a dark look. To which the blonde replied with a large smile and wave, making Rizavum glare back before leaving the area.
Well, now that's over. I think we should call it a day, Lucifer said. Since no one won the match, there will be no reward. I understand, sir, Naruto replied. Thank you for arranging the sparring match, he said honestly. Lucifer stared at the blonde before saying, I think your mother is right. I will be expecting great things from you.
Lord Lucifer dismissed them. The Satanchias returned to their clan house, where Naruto's father gave him a proud smile and slapped him on the back while his mother crushed him in a hug and kissed his face all over.
Mio felt her master and lover's magic rush towards them, but was shocked to see him bleeding all over. She hurried over, looking at him all over before helping him into his room. Naruto's parents decided to let her handle him while they started the war preparations and sent messages to the clans they had been placed in command of.
Naruto told her what had happened and she was in shock. She heard about Rizavum Lucifer, a super powerful devil who was as cruel as they came. She was worried that her lover not only fought him but also mocked him. The blonde simply gave her a little smile and a kiss on her lips, making her blush cutely. Mio didn't know that the blonde was still feeling the high from battling a strong opponent who had tried to kill him. Naruto thought back on the fight and realized that if Rizavum had taken the fight more seriously, he would have been killed. This realization made the blonde make a vow to himself to get stronger so he would never find himself in that position again. While Mio was treating his injuries, the blonde saw Mio juggling tits in front of his face and he couldn't help himself but to grab them and give them a squeeze, making her moan before she scowled at him for getting fresh with her while he was injured.
Naruto laughed at how cute his lover was, but was a little disappointed when she removed his hand. Naruto sighed and then asked her a question that had been on his mind since after the battle. Do you think I'm strong? The blonde asked Mio in a serious voice. Of course you are the master. Mio answered instantly to the question. Then why do you hold back your power when we spar? The blonde asked further. I don't hold back, she replied, but her blonde lover just stared at her before she slumped her shoulders and answered, it's because it's hard to attack someone you love with the intent to kill them. I wasn't doing it to hurt your feelings, I just couldn't.
I think I understand, but from now on we're going to get stronger because I think I made an enemy today. Naruto stated, then took Mio by the waist and brought her to his bed, hugging her close. Naruto didn't know what the future held, but he was determined to be prepared for it. He would protect all of his loved ones, even if it meant taking them with him into the darkness. Chapter end. Thank you.